Your friends should be your greatest vehicle for brainstorming. Let me tell you how to have greater friends. And I really genuinely want you guys to write this down. I want you to learn to do this. Pick up the phone, call a friend and say this. And here, I can tell you the quality of your friendships right now based on this statement, believe it or not. Pick up the phone, call a friend and say, hey, can I get 5 minutes? I just want to brainstorm something with you. I just want to brainstorm something with you. I can determine the quality of your friendships with that statement. When you're in friendships, and it's not what we call a generative friendship. A generative friendship means we generate ideas together. It doesn't mean they need to be the expert. It doesn't mean they need to be perfect. It doesn't even mean they need to get the topic. Friends talk things through with each other. We're in a culture in the Western world where what we do is we complain together. But that's not generative. That's actually not, it's not additive, right? So complaining together, I learned that from Zig Ziglar, to listen to your friends and what's the tone? What are we talking about here? And if you're around a bunch of complainers and blamers all day long, you become that. And I was like, dang, that's real. So I want you to write this phrase down. Hey, can I brainstorm something with you? I want you to hear about this, because I do consider myself someone who has deep, awesome, incredible relationships, and I feel very blessed about this. I do this all the time. I probably have, I'm not kidding you, I probably have 15 of those conversations a week. 15 a week. And you're like, how can you possibly do that? Well, I have friends who are like my buddies. I have friends at work. I have friends who I would consider coworkers, people on my team. I have friends in my industry. And I force myself throughout the week, when I have an idea, when I have a goal, when I have a concern, and write those down. When I have an idea, when I have a goal, when I have a concern, I don't let those things live in my little head. Instead, to create relationships with others, I call and I say, hey, can I brainstorm on something with you? Sure, what's up? Well, I've got this concern right now. Or, you know what? I've got this idea. I just want to bounce it off. Or I've got this goal. I'm wondering if you've ever seen that, or you've done it, or you know someone who has. I just want to share it. Idea, goal, concern. These are part of the parlance of a great friendship. And you think about it, a lot of us don't have that. Now, I know some of you can be like, but I have a great friend and we don't do that. I'm like, oh, my job isn't here to tell you that you can't have great friends. I have great friends who are like my pina colada friends. I don't know how many ideas we actually brainstorm with. Half the time, I don't think there's an idea in our head when we're drinking a pina colada. So listen, I'm not here to say every relationship has to be perfect. Maybe you're my pina colada friend. We have a great time. We probably don't generate about how to solve the climate crisis, okay? We're not that deep. But if I want to deepen that relationship, great friends contribute something together. Your best friends at work weren't just the party people often. It was like you felt like you were doing something together that made a difference. Contribution is we serve together. We make impact together. This is why I always begin every conversation and meeting new friends with getting out and volunteering, right? Just like when you volunteer with other people, it just, your spirits are aligned, you're making a difference, it's just unique, you're making an impact. That make a difference thing together, I'd love for you to go down all your casual relationships and go, how can I make a difference with her? How could he and I, or this group, make some kind of impact? Maybe we go build a school. Maybe we go paint a playground. Maybe we go serve at a soup kitchen. Maybe we go, build this thing or weave this thing or get that thing done or raise this money together. Whatever it is, let's go do something together of impact is a question. I remember I was in my early 30s and I saw this team, they called themselves. It was like, 5 people. It's like 2 guys, 3 gals. And every year they went away for Habitat for Humanity and they built a house somewhere. Every year they just did that. And I was like, that's amazing. You guys are so close and everything else. And we're talking. And to me, it was like, oh, this is a team of 5. And then it turned out every year, each of them made sure to bring 2 friends. And now this group was 300 people. 300 people. Started out with literally 5. They became 300 people who went every year. These 300 people went and mixed up and they would go around and build stuff together. I was like, that's incredible, right? I don't know about you, but some of my best friends came from service, contribution, building, doing things together that made an impact. Like in my industry, some of my best friends in the industry, like we collaborate to do something, to build something, to create something. It makes a difference, right? That just feels amazing to me. I love that. I really do love that. What else? Well, I think for those of you who are really struggling to meet high quality people from your perspective, I can't recommend enough that you get involved with some local organizations that are nonprofit based and that you start attending more fundraisers, more acts of service. And I know some of you go, I don't have anything, I don't have money to contribute maybe, or I don't have, I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, I don't care. Go to a bunch of them and you'll learn what you like. And I will also say this, I know I've been saying this for years, I beat a dead drum a little bit here, but when you go to a fundraiser or you go to a volunteer event, do you know who goes to those? Like you go to a black tie event, like a fundraiser as an example. Do you know who goes there? The most successful, high achieving, positive, wealthy, influential people in that particular community. People who have something to give and in their spirit, in their heart says, I play this role in this community where I'm going to make a difference here. Awesome. I mean, some of my best friends I've met throughout the years, I met either doing the work of contribution or literally on a nonprofit board or at a fundraiser. Because that striving community who wants to make a difference, I can't share with that. But here's the thing, whether you go do that or you don't, the people who are closest to you, if you want to make a difference with them, if you want to deepen that relationship, find a way to make a difference together. Go do something cool that contributes. Go volunteer. I think if you really want the closest friendships imaginable, you go volunteer once a month or once a quarter. You don't wait for it, you schedule it. I want you to be the friend that schedules the contribution. Be that friend. Don't hope that person comes into your life. You're that scheduler. You're that person who sets that up. You're the person that gets them together because at some point they'll take it over. In all of my greatest friendship circles, I tend to be the person who initiates it and we do something and then someone says, I'll do it next time. I'm like, great, just do that. Acts of contribution together. Okay, let's go, Growth Day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Congratulations, you're working on your personal growth and wellness today. I welcome you to today's session on advanced wellness strategies for home and work. What an unbelievable topic, right? The timing is perfect because some of you, like me, you may have spent yourself and your year in a little bit of, in a little bit of a quarantine in a new place, and you're trying to do your job, manage the stress, the obligations that you have with the kids or the family or the business. Try to find that sense of happiness and joy and creativity in life. But it's also a really difficult time sometimes to do all of that when the world is in total chaos and turmoil, when multi-billion-dollar companies are trying to steal your attention and compare you to other people. And so today's topic, I think you're going to find not only timely, but something that will help holistically address so many of the challenges we all face in living a vibrant, a connected, and a meaningful life. If you're new to Growth Day, you might not know that I always kind of talk about this triangle, and this triangle that what we're all really after, after we have some security or a roof over our head or some food in the pantry is, we all want a sense of aliveness. We want that joy, that enthusiasm, that sense, that joie de vivre. We all want connection, and that connection is your relationships and how you feel connected to other people, connected to your family, connected to even yourself. We want meaningful pursuits, the ability to do things that matter to us, that draw our interest or our passion or our obsession or enthusiasm. And right in the middle of that old triangle, growth, which is what we are here to do today. This topic, man, I'm so happy to see so many of you here right now. This is awesome. I'm just so excited to see you guys here because this topic, a lot of people get wrong. I'm going to start with a simple statement. I'll tell you what we're going to do here today, especially for those who are new. I'm going to start with a very simple statement. I know when I talk about wellness, often people separate wellness in this little category. Oh, that means health, or that's nutrition, or that's meditation. And they kind of feel like, oh, I'll get there. One day I'll be healthy. And I'm always telling people, wellness is not separate from your work day. Wellness is not separate from your life. Wellness is not something you do once in a while or you have once in a while. Wellness is your experience of life. Wellness is your experience of life in this moment. It was your experience of life this morning. It's your experience of life the last week or last 2 weeks. It's not this little thing over there that once in a while you have your kale shake, or you have, your keto diet, or you get to that gym, once 3-4 times a week. Those are practices. And I'm going to share with you tons of practices today that I know you will love. But wellness is our experience of life. And when we can look at it that way, things start to really shift in, once in a while I do wellness versus how am I being, feeling, and experiencing life. That's how I think of like my wellness practices, or when I teach wellness to corporations or I teach it to you guys in our high performance work. It's always more of a holistic approach, because I really believe we want to feel. We want to feel the day. If something is off in your life, it's because you don't feel like you're feeling the day with the emotions and the energy that you want behind it. So today, I've got all my cards to share with you today, some advanced practices that have really served me, but also the mindset of wellness, the experience of wellness. What does that look like? And I know, listen, as soon as you start talking about wellness, people often say, well, is this about losing weight? Or is he going to tell me I'm too fat? Is he going to tell me I need to get off the couch or stop eating, the Cheetos? I promise this is not a preaching session. This is a session hopefully meeting you where you're at. And I've always had to do that in my private coaching with our clients. I have to do that with you guys as our students. I have to do that with myself. There's different times in your life where wellness feels different and looks different. Sometimes when you're youthful and young and you just felt awesome all the time, it didn't matter if you pound down like 7 tacos and 4 beers in one night. Okay, well, maybe it did, but you could get away with that the next 2 days because your classes didn't start till 11 a.m. Or, you had times in your life where you could get away with bad energy. You had times in your life where the energy was more abundant because that age or that health state that you were in at that time. But you and I both know there's sometimes it ain't so good. It's like you're trying everything and you feel like crap and you don't know why. You're doing what they say. You got your yoga mat, you're following this wellness person, you're doing your Headspace or your Calm or your tapping solution app. You're doing all the things, but you still feel like crap and you don't know why. That is the challenge of the wellness journey. I certainly know that. Many of you guys have been with me for a long time. I've been blessed to teach personal development now, essentially for 25 years. only full-time for the last, 17 years. And, oh no, full-time the last 15 years. And in that journey, I've had to be on stage teaching to hundreds or thousands of people who paid a lot of money to be there, and I would feel like crap backstage. I was tired, I was fatigued, I didn't feel my body right. I was stressed from business. I was stressed from family and the finances and all the obligations that fell on my shoulders. There's been times just like you when you're in that roaring stage of your career where things are going great, but you don't feel great. There's also been times, many of you guys were with me in 2011 when I had my brain injury. And that took me on a whole new wellness journey, because at that point I was a high performance guy. You know, I had really gotten my mind, my body, and my spirit, my work and family. I'd gotten kind of like in alignment, if you will. I was in the zone for a series of years. I was feeling good. And then on a trip with some friends, I wrecked an ATV, a four-wheeler. And I rolled several times and I snapped my wrist off, broke my ribs, threw out my hip, my shoulder, and ended up with a traumatic brain injury. And that opened a whole new world of learning for me to understand my brain and to heal my physical body. I know many of you have been through those situations, and many of you right now, you're dealing with sickness in your life or your family. You're dealing with, an optimized, a non-optimized body, and you just feel awful. Or you recently got hurt or sick, and listen, recovering from that, that's real. And so we'll talk about some of those recovery routines. We'll talk about some of those new ways to think about your mind, your body, your brain, your spirit. Today's a good discussion. It's a really good discussion. We're going to start with the most simple thing I want you to write in your journal and fill out, which is this. Wellness to me is ... What does wellness mean to you? You know, whenever I teach a topic, I always encourage the audience, like, define it for yourself. Because if you don't define it for yourself, how are you ever going to align with it, achieve it, manifest it? You know, some people say, I want to be successful, Brendon. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, I don't know. Money? It's like, what does it mean to be successful or confident? You have to define those things. What does happiness mean to you? We'll talk about that today. But wellness, what does it mean to you? I really want you to think about it. What does wellness mean to you? When you have full or holistic wellness, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Maybe what you can do in your journal right now is just wellness to me is, and then just write down some words that come up to you. Wellness to me is what? Just write down one word. Wellness to me is health, fitness, resilience, peace, purpose, happiness, aliveness. What is it for you? Just take a moment right now. I'm going to walk you through my personal definition of this, and then share some ideas that maybe you can put into play in your home, in your work life. So wellness to me is, here are my keywords and my practices. Number one, wellness to me is happiness. If I don't feel happy on a consistent basis, I know I'm not on my A game in terms of my wellness practices. To me, they go hand in hand. Wellness and happiness. They're not separate. They're not different. They are the same thing in many ways. If I'm not happy, I know my wellness practices are off. So let's talk about some of these ideas for happiness. Okay, for me, the first thing of my wellness practice and what makes me a happy dude. Like if you met me, you'd be like, God, that guy is annoyingly happy a lot. If you've been to my seminars before and you see me go for 4 days, 9 hours a day often on stage by myself, people are like, how does he have that much energy? It's because I have the ultimate secret to happiness. And we have the ultimate secret to happiness. I'm telling you, you feel well. So what is my ultimate secret to happiness? The first thing is having reverence for life. and then practices that make me feel that, So many of you know, 25 years ago, this month, 25 years ago, this month, I had the car accident that made me, as a young man, finally appreciate life and really want to live it and explore it and feel it and love it and connect with people. I was a broken down, super sad, unwell young man who was depressed and suicidal. And then the car accident knocked some sense in my head, and in my head, it made me realize I want to live this life. I don't want to take my life. From that day forward, for the last 25 years, I can tell you, I have felt happy every single day for 25 years. And my unfair advantage of that isn't because I have this perfect life and nothing bad ever happens, OMG, you know, it's because I make myself feel happy every day by reminding myself of the blessing of this life. So those practices, what does that look like? Well, it's simple practices of, in the morning, Wayne Dyer taught me, wake up, swing your legs over, put your feet on the ground, say thank you, thank you, thank you. Another day alive, another day alive, another opportunity to change, another day to grow. Thank you for this opportunity to serve today. Let me live this day with intention and focus and joy. Oh, please allow me to feel the sense of aliveness. And I just start the morning with a sense of joy and luck and honor and privilege to be alive, to have the breath. I would say, if you have reverence for life, everything else feels and looks good. When you forget the gratitude of the extraordinary blessing and the incomprehensible unlikeliness of your survival in life right now, the odds of the universe of you being here, this little speck amongst the cosmos, is so profound that when you have deep reverence, which is respect, honor, appreciation, a sense of humility and thankfulness that you are alive, everything else flows from that. People are like, you're so vibrant. I'm like, have you ever seen my mom? If you ever met my mom, she is so happy to meet you. She is so happy to be alive. She's had perspective. She's been in a war. She grew up in war in Vietnam. She was the child of a soldier who was lost. So she was in a child recovery program. She was shipped to another country where she didn't know anyone and didn't want to live, separated from her family. She had to immigrate to the United States under dire conditions. She met her first husband, who was not good and was abusive. She went out and struck out on her own. She eventually met my father, who'd also been through huge difficulties in his life, growing up super poor and having just spent multiple years, 3 tours in Vietnam, and got all shot up over there. My parents were happy people. They didn't have a lot, but they were grateful for life because they saw people die. They were grateful for life, and that reverence was something that was just palpable in my household. And I know I was lucky for that. A lot of people didn't luck out on getting great parents. I had good examples to that. And that was good. But like I said, later on, I became depressed because sometimes, you know, when you don't have good relationships, which we'll talk about in wellness, it's hard to be happy, even if you know you should. But I tell people all the time, if the umbrella of reverence for life is not there, if a deep gratitude, appreciation, and thankfulness for whatever you call it, for God, for life, for cosmos, for universe, for dang crazy genetic luck that you emerged and have life, if you don't have that, I promise your wellness journey will never feel vibrant. I promise you can eat all the energy, foods and supplements. You can, take care of yourself. I know a lot of people who are super fit and healthy and miserable because they don't appreciate their life. They don't keep perspective that this journey is going to end super quick for them and all of us. And so wellness and the real journey to wellness begins with reverence for life, deep gratitude, deep thankfulness, deep humility and honor for life. That's my ultimate secret. Like, how are you so happy? I'm like, I ain't dead. If you're alive, oh my gosh, and you can feel that, and you can tune into your breath and feel the sensations around your body. If you can sense and feel throughout the day, all of your senses, and take in the wonders of the world, even if it's like a concrete city, or you're out on, I happen to be on the beach, or I grew up in the mountains, or I can get outside and see some nature, or I can just remind myself of how big this earth is and how lucky I am to be one of the 7+ billion people. It's impossible to fathom your blessings. And I know when you say that to people in today's world, they're like, oh, sure, you can say that because you're privileged. You can say that because you're lucky. You can say that because you made your dreams, or you have money, or you are this, or you are that. And what they're doing is they're casting out to the world their perspective that says, you don't understand me. So all those things you have, it's unfair. And that's a real quick way to feel miserable, which leads me to my second point, happiness. What are my happiness practices? Well, one I told you, I wake up, I feel reverence to life. I pray, I meditate throughout the day, and those little simple check-ins of appreciation to God. It might be your gratitude journal at the end of the night. You log into GrowthDay, you type in your journal, all the things you are grateful for. You must consistently, and every single day, you must capture the sense of joy, the moments that mattered, the little things and events that made you grateful or appreciative. If you don't capture them, you don't feel them. And what happens is your attention goes to everything else. So my first practice of wellness is reminding myself to be happy that I am alive. But the second one I was talking about, where it's easy for people to cast and go, oh, you're so lucky, or you're so privileged. And by the way, we all are. That's part of reverence for life. I'm like, when people are like, you're so lucky, I'm like, yeah, totally. Well, you don't understand. I've been through this. I'm like, I don't understand. I haven't been through that. Tell me about it. I really believe we can learn from one another. We can understand one another's pain. We can explore relationships and conversations of empathy and compassion. And that's a practice in recognizing where people are unhappy and where they are angry, and recognizing that that's okay too. And sometimes when we're most angry, we're out of our reverence for life. When we're most upset, we're out of our gratitude. When we hate on other people, we lost perspective of the uniqueness of this oneness journey we're all on, where we got to breathe this morning. The secret to my wellness routines is meaningful days and pursuits. Meaningful days and pursuits. Wellness to me cannot exist separate than meaning and fulfillment. I could be super healthy and fit. I can be resilient as heck. I can release all the tension in my body. But if I don't feel like the day or the series of days had some meaning or some magic to them, if I didn't feel fulfilled with the efforts I was putting in, even if that meant taking care of the home, taking care of the family, if that meant doing my art or building my business, if it doesn't feel like it matters, and I don't force myself, please listen, I don't force myself to feel fulfilled, just like I don't force myself to feel grateful, then I start going through the motions. And once I start going through the motions, it all blurs, none of it means anything, and I become unhealthy. My thoughts go into pessimism. My thoughts go into discontent. My thoughts go into discontent and pessimism and negativity, and then blahness and boredom. And so what I have to do, I have to force myself to be fulfilled. I have to literally at the end of every day, I'm like, okay, what can I be happy about today? Okay, I didn't get as far as I want. I still have a huge to-do list for tomorrow and the next 5 years. What did I do today? What one little step I can just have a little bit of celebration, a little fulfillment from? At least you tried, at least you moved the thing forward. Give yourself a little credit today, Brendon. Feel a little fulfilled even though you're behind. I literally say those words to myself. So I'm not preaching to you. That's the practice. Your self talk about meaning and fulfillment is an advanced practice. At the end of the day, are you noting mentally and physically, mentally and verbally in your mind what you saw that you're fulfilled by and you feel good about? Even if you're still behind, even if it didn't go right, I'll honor myself. You were in motion, Brendon. You tried. You know what? You had those 40 items. You did 2 of them. Those 2, they're really going to matter towards the next couple of years. Okay, you move that ball forward. Okay, not as far as you, because see, your discontent with how far you've come is stealing your sense of meaning and fulfillment. You don't think you've progressed far enough, so you dislike yourself, you question your skills, or you hate yourself. That's mental illness. When we feel that we're never enough, does that sound like wellness? When we feel like we never give ourselves credit, nothing's ever good enough, does that feel good? It feels terrible. A lot of people are literally emotionally, mentally unwell because they just don't stop at the end of the day and go, what did I do? Where am I headed? What can I be fulfilled about? What meaningful thing happened today? Even if you know what happened today, you're fulfilled by, you made the kids a good lunch. You know what you're fulfilled by? You know, you're making your house a little more like you like it. You know what you're fulfilled by? Oh, you were kind to that person, or you took that call, you answered that text. Oh, you know what you're fulfilled by? You finished the presentation, you got the video up, you did the launch. Like, if you don't feel fulfilled on a consistent basis, don't blame what you're doing. Let me say it again. If you don't feel fulfilled on a consistent basis, don't blame what you're doing. Don't blame the job. Don't blame the purpose. Like, it's that old thing in Taoism and Buddhism. Carry the pail, man. You got to be able to carry the pail, wash the dishes, live a normal life, and feel fulfilled by it. Fulfillment doesn't come with the private jet. I know a lot of people with them. They're unhappy. Fulfillment comes with our self-talk and the acknowledgement of what we are doing and where we are heading. It's a recognition and an appreciation of what our life is about and who we are becoming. Not just, am I doing the perfect thing? And so what's your fulfillment practice? How do you make yourself satisfied and fulfilled with life? Have you ever given yourself that gift? Have you ever given yourself that gift on a daily basis? Or does it come every 10 years when you achieve something? Hopefully. I know a lot of people, they live a long time still chasing fulfillment as if it will happen to them versus a decision one day to speak to themselves differently. You want more fulfillment at work? Speak to yourself differently about the actions going on at work. Give yourself credit, recognize the momentum, honor your efforts, honor the efforts of other people, recognize the ripple effect of what's going to happen. Like the ripple effect of my career, I have no idea. But every day, I feel fulfilled by it. I did one more thing today. I'm going to feel fulfilled at the end of this day, even though I've already thought of 40 things that I haven't said to you yet that I think I should say to you. I'm just going to be fulfilled with the session today. Put the stone in the water. The ripple effect will happen. Didn't get the stone exactly where I wanted it. Stone got in the water. You don't have to make a masterpiece every day. You got to get some oil on the canvas. Just get going. Just start and recognize yourself for those times. Recognizing and celebrating what you are doing, even if you don't think it's as big as it needs to be, that's mental health. I'll share something else that really helps me with this, and this is so key. Meaningful days and pursuits. For me, I know this is going to bore you all to death, but for me, these meaningful days and pursuits come from having a schedule and a plan. I know no one loves this one, Brendon. I knew you were going to turn it to productivity. Dang it, Brendon. I have to, because when we feel like we have momentum behind us, we do feel better. My wellness comes from a sense of progress, fulfillment in my life. But those things don't come from just showing up and self-talk. They also come from knocking stuff off the list, man, and blocking time. When I have a series of weeks or months of empty time on my calendar, I know I'm not fulfilling God's potential he put in my soul. I believe that if you are meandering your whole life, it's hard to feel fulfilled. And often people, even if they're doing good work, they don't feel they're optimizing their potential. And the truth is, sometimes that's true. Sometimes you look at their calendar, they're not doing anything. They're not scheduling. And I know that sounds so simplistic, but it's like, oh, I know a lot about your life based on your schedule. I know a lot about your life based on your calendar. I don't know everything. I don't know your internal world, but sometimes I do. Because your calendar is saying, what are you focusing on? What are you moving towards? And the meaningful days stack up when you feel like at least you moved towards that thing, even if, again, you didn't get it perfect or progress perfectly towards it. And so I have just got so many activities that are on the schedule. That's when I'm going to do it. I'm going to move it forward. I might not get it done. I might not get it right. But I tried in that slot of time, and it builds self-respect. I showed up. I did what I said I was going to do. I put the effort forth. Self-respect leads to that self-efficacy, that self-esteem, those things that give us confidence. And guess what? Wellness. When you have greater self-worth and self-respect from progressing towards things that matter to you, you are more well. I know you know that. Here's how to do great network in the room. So let's put you in the room, right? You've been invited to an event where, a lot of the movers and shakers are there, or people who could be in your group or your downline, or could become clients or are peers who you really respect. What's the best way to start that first conversation? My first piece of advice for you in networking is to always use the context to your advantage. Use the context. What does that mean? It means the opening line and the opening conversations to you that are 100% available all of the time is getting the other person talking about where they're at, right? If you're all at a particular type of networking event in a particular kind of building, well, obviously you can talk about that area of town. You can talk about that building. If you're there at a symphony, you get to talk about the symphony, right? The context itself gives you so much conversation points. But what I want to do is actually give you my super secret, super famous line that will do it for you, that is so powerful. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to say to them, okay, are you ready for this? I want you to say to them, let's say you're at I'm just gonna use an example. You're at a fundraiser. You're at a fundraiser, there's a lot of people there, and at this fundraiser, you have the ability to meet some people. That first person you walk at the fundraiser, what do you say? I know we have a lot of really successful people here watching this, so type down below, in the comments down below, please, what would you say to the person? You're at a fundraiser, you meet somebody. What would you say to them? First line out of your mouth. First line out of your mouth. What would you say to them? What do you think about it? Would you go to them and give them your elevator pitch? Probably not, you don't know anything about them. You can introduce yourself, introduce your name, that's helpful. But do you introduce your name and then tell them what you do? However the chit chat happens, and chit chat is usually contextual, right? That's why I say use the context. Chit chat can be, this fundraiser is really amazing. You're at a fundraiser. This fundraisers are really amazing. How did you hear about it? Here we are, a whole group of people together. It's the easiest first thing. Hey, here we are at the symphony. How'd you hear about it? Hey, here we are at this networking event for multi-level marketing. Hey, here we are at this multi-network marketing thing. How'd you hear about this company? How did you hear about it is the easiest entry. Oh, this person introduced me. Or I heard about it this way. My friend. Starting with that's why I say use the context. Ask, how did you hear about this very event we're at? We're at the symphony, we're at the fundraiser, we're at the networking event. How'd you hear about this thing? Oh, my buddy so-and-so Pete. Oh, cool. Why did you want to come here? That next question. Why did you want to come? Oh, I know the director. Oh, my friends in the downline. Oh, I want to come as this. How did you hear about it? Why did you want to come? That why did you want to come is often a jumping point into asking what they do, right? Oh, how'd you hear about it? Why did you want to come? Oh, that's interesting. What do you do? Oh, well, I'm in this area. I'm in that area. Oh, okay, cool. That is the easiest chit chat way to get into a conversation. How'd you hear about it? Why did you want to come? What do you do? Simple 3 steps, right? So that's always easy for me. Always easy for me. But then I don't like to spend too much time chit-chatting from there. That's as much as I'm gonna chit-chat. I don't wanna talk about the weather. I don't wanna talk about the punch. I don't wanna gossip. My next favorite question, this is my, the big 4 I call it sometimes. How'd you hear about it? Why did you wanna come? And what do you do? Next big question I love to ask is, there's a lot of really successful people here. What do you think made you the most successful in what you do? And it's complimentary, right? What do you think made you successful? When you think about your career or your life, what do you think are 3 things that made you successful? I'm just curious. I love asking people that. I kind of collect people's success stories. What made you successful? And they're like, oh, well, gosh, I had mentors. My mom was like this. Oh, I practiced these habits. Oh, well, I worked really hard. And whatever they share, now the relationship really deepens. Oh, what made me successful? I had great parents. Oh, tell me about them. Tell me about them. I had great mentors. Huh, who was the number 1 mentor? I guess I just had a lot of doors open for me and I had a lot of luck. Well, what was the biggest door that opened for you? Whatever they say, when you say, hey, now notice the context here. There's a lot of successful people here. What do you think made you successful? Whatever comes out, just dig down another 2 layers. Well, my parents, tell me about them. Who's most, just whatever that comes from there. My mentor. Oh, who is the most important mentor? What's the best value they ever taught you? If you get someone talking about what made them successful, have you ever noticed people like to talk about themselves? I'm sure you all read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. His whole thing is smile at other people and ask them about themselves. And use their name. I think that was the big 3 things, right? So simple, right? Smile, ask them to talk, and use their name a lot. I mean, listen, guys, it doesn't have to be that hard. But I promise you, if you go in weaponized with this information, comment, use the context. How'd you hear about it? Why did you want to come here? What do you do? And lots of successful people here, what made you successful? Do that with 1 person. Then when that natural break in the conversation comes, guess what they're probably gonna do after you've asked those types of questions? They'll ask you the same. Or you share, they share, I was successful because of these things. Then you get to share what made you successful. Oh, I totally get that. For me, it was just like this. But they'll ask. Most people will ask. I'd say 80% of them will ask back. Oh, well, what do you do? What made you successful? And now you started the conversation in recognition that you're both successful, that everything's good. Now I know some people are gonna comment down below, well, what if the person I'm talking to isn't successful? And they're like, well, I'm not successful. And be like, oh, well, what's been the biggest obstacle you faced so far? That's it. What's been the biggest obstacle you faced so far? When you find that out, you start learning about the person and seeing where you can add value. And I also know some of you have the self-perception problem where you don't have the confidence yet. So you're like, well, when they say, well, what made you successful? And you're like, well, I'm bankrupt. I'm living on my friends' couches. And if you think I'm making fun of you, I'm not. That was my real story. So I was still out there networking. I was bankrupt. I was literally living, my friends wouldn't even give me the dignity of their couch. They gave me a half-inflated airbed on the side of the little nook between the TV and the wall. At that point, they're like, our couch is too valuable for you, Burchard. So it's a true story. I was networking even then. And I remember when some person saying to me something similar, it's like, oh, well, you must be successful to be in this room. And I said, you know what? I feel like I'm successful because I'm a grateful person. And I just want to add value to people. And I kind of feel like I'm on my starting journey of that. Any tips for the new guy? And that humility, if you're talking with somebody who's more successful, asking them for tips in your genre, in your career, in your industry is so valuable. And I always said something like that. I was like, Any tips for the new guy? Just humble. Like, wow, you're so amazing at what you're doing. Any tips for the new guy? They'd always say the same thing. Keep working at it. Keep believing in yourself. Work hard. They'd always say the same things. And be like, that's really good advice. What do I say with that? Most people, when they ask someone for advice, do you have any advice for me? What they usually do is their next move is you want to ask them for something. Oh, that's good. Can I ask you a favor? Instead, when they say, you know what? I can give you some tips. Tell you what, work hard, be grateful, keep at it. The first thing I say to them is like, those are really good. Who taught you those? Who taught you X is one of my favorite questions to ask somebody. When someone ever gives me advice, I'm like, I love that. Who taught you that? Sometimes I'll say, I learned it through hard knocks, kid. Most of the time they're like, oh, you know what, I had a mentor. Oh, what did the mentor teach you? When you get someone talking about what made them successful or who their mentors were, it's a whole different relationship than everyone else. They're talking about what? The weather? Or what that woman's wearing over there? Don't gossip and don't chit chat. The most amount of chit chat I will allow for you is, how'd you hear about this? Why'd you want to come? Anything outside of that, I really believe if it doesn't lead you towards observing successful people here, acknowledging them that they're a successful person, asking what they're doing or what has made them successful, I think you're missing huge opportunities. And I think all of you will be stunned when you actually put this into play. Like, I know you can be writing down in a journal right now, you're like, yeah, Brandon, this sounds good. But when you actually do them and you leave that party or you leave that networking event, you're like, whoa, that was a whole different conversation. And why do I ask you to do this? Relationships and the conversation of success tend to be things that are very personal for people. It's about their dreams and their relationships. So guess what? You talked to person number one and you talked about what made them successful. Maybe you got some tips from them. Maybe you learned about who made them successful. You talk to person number 2, 3, 4, and 5. When you go to introduce person number 5 to person number 1, you get to say something very honoring of them. When you introduce person 5 to number 1, you say, hey, person number 5, I want you to meet person 1. We just met, but what I love about person number 1 is that, like me, they had a mom that taught them about life. Or what I love about person number 1 is, they became very successful in this pharmaceutical thing they were just telling me about. And they really became successful because they felt like they had this amazing daily habit. Would you tell them about the daily habit? Would you tell them about your mom? Would you tell them about this successful thing? You already have an introduction. And I want you to write down this phrase. Person number 5, meet person number 1. What I love about person number 1 is, when you do that, person number 1's like, he listened. Wow, this person absolutely listened. This person is honoring me in front of another person right now. That's amazing. And then if you can engage them and say, hey, person number 1, the reason I brought person number 5 over here is because I thought they had the similar value or the similar experience, or they're successful, and what I love about them is, and all you are doing is you are linchpinning these two together based on what you loved and respected about what they told you about their success journey or their relationships. Got it? I'm always listening for what's their success journey and who's important in their relationships. If they honored their mom, their first teacher, there's something like that. So let me give you an example. Remember I told you about my teacher, Linda Ballou, a minute ago? If you and I are at a party now, and you come up with another person you met at that party and say, hey, Brendon, I want you to meet person number 5, Sarah here. Don't say person number 5, that might be weird. But, but say, Brendon, I'd like you to meet Sarah. You know what, Sarah, one thing I love about Brendon is, as he's striving for success, he's still thanking his teachers from 25 years ago. Brendon, you have that story about Linda Ballou. Tell Sarah about it. I'm gonna be like, you are awesome. Yes, please let me talk about Linda Ballou. She's important in my life. And now I'm gonna have that connection with Sarah, so I'm gonna tell Sarah about Linda Ballou. And then I'm gonna say what to Sarah? Did you have any important teachers in your life? And she's gonna say, oh yes, my 5th grade teacher so-and-so. And we're gonna have this great conversation. And when we leave at night, we didn't talk about the weather or the punch bowl. I'm gonna remember forever her teacher. She's gonna remember forever my teacher. Now we have something real, and you were the linchpin to unite us in a beautiful memory about someone who made a difference in our life. Are you following the different strategy here? It's such a different experience. This is why you're in coaching. This is high performance experience. There's a different experience in life. It's sometimes so simple and subtle, but your job is getting people to share about their success journey and the relationships that were important to them. And then you get to connect people that way. It's everything. Next up, what else can you do? I think asking people about their priorities is everything. Is everything. I mean, I might only be 3, 4, 5 minutes into a conversation, and I'll say something like, you know what? It's mid-February. What's most important to you to finish this month? That's a priority, right? What's most important to you this month? Or if it's the first of the month, or always just use the date or the time or the season. Hey, you know, we're in the last quarter of the year. Like, what are you trying to do by the end of the year? Or, hey, you know what? It's Valentine. What's most important to you right now about your relationship, right? Whatever you like, use context, use the time of the year, and ask them, what's most important to you in X? Whatever it is. You know, oh, you shared with me you're trying to build schools in this other country. What's most important to you about making that happen? What's the most important thing to you about making that happen? What's the most important thing that you need to do in the next 3 months to make that happen? I love that question. If someone ever shares a dream with you, I really want you to listen to me closely. If anyone ever shares a goal or a dream with you, your next follow-up question should be something to the effect of, oh, wow, what's most important for you to do in the next 3 months to make that happen? And here's why I love to ask that question. If you say, what's your first step? Everyone's gonna say, what's the first step? But if you say, what's most important to you to do in the next 3 months? It stops the person and makes them think. Why is that important? When you stop a human at a networking event and you make them think, they want to stay in conversation with you longer. You're going beyond the punch bowl now. You're having a deep conversation. What's most important to you in the next 3 months to make happen towards your dreams? Not many people talk like that. When you're someone who's talking like that, they're just like, wow, you know, this person is interested in my dreams. And I think that's really vital to have. Okay, I think there's 3 things you should know about every person that you're gonna meet. At least 5 people, at a networking event, anywhere else out there. I think there's 3 things. Number 1, always know what people are trying to create or build. Are they trying to create a movement? Are they trying to create a better career? Are they trying to create a better life for their family? Are they trying to build a school? Are they trying to build competency in a specific skill set? Are they trying to build their empire? What every person, like we're built, like one of our human aspirations is our desire of creation. We came from creation. If you're a spiritual person, if not, no worries. But like things are created, things build. The universe is being created by itself, even if you don't believe in God. It's building and expanding itself. Like that is part of our DNA and part of the whole universe. So it's like, what is it a human is trying to create and build in their life? Some people, they're just trying to build their career. So what do they want to do in their career? Ask them. Ask them. I always like that. I am a person who I don't mince words a lot. I don't chit chat a lot. So I ask them directly. I'm like, hey, at this stage of your life or your career, what is it you're really trying to create and build? That's literally the question I try to ask. What is it you are trying to create and build? What is it you are trying to create and build at this stage of your life or your career? And sometimes I'm just trying to create some sanity at home. Great. Now you know what's important to them. And now you can continue that conversation. Oh, what's up at home? And now you learn some things. Now you might be able to recommend some books or introduce them to someone who's dealing with those same parental issues or those same relational issues. So what are they trying to create and build? This one I love in my own industry. What are you trying to create and build? Oh, I'm trying to build my Instagram. Oh, what do you want to achieve with your Instagram? Oh, I'd like to reach 1 million people. Oh, what's the message you'd like to get to 1 million people? oh, I'd like to get them, this message that they have a second chance and that every day they can, live extraordinary lives if they choose to, if they practice the right habits and mindset. Oh, okay, cool. You know what? I know somebody else in this room who's in personal development. Do you know that person over there? No? Hang on a second. Grab them. Hey, you know what I love about this person right here? They're trying to impact the world in a positive way. You've done that. Could you share any lessons on your success journey with them that might help? Ask people to share their advice with each other when you know they have similar backgrounds. Huge. Next up, I love this question. What's the hardest part? What's the hardest part? I met Bill Gates several times, as some of you guys know, and the first time I ever met him, inspired by a question Larry King told me, maybe 4 minutes in, I said, so at this stage of your career, what's the hardest part of what you're doing? And he just lit up. Oh, we're trying to solve it. He was trying to, if I remember the timing right, he was like trying to solve malaria worldwide. Big problem. But it was like, what's the hardest part of that? He's like, getting the right people to believe it's possible. I said, that's amazing. You've gotten people to believe what's possible in so many ways before. What worked in the past? And he was so excited to share these things. And it was just from this question of what's the hardest part. Last piece is their connections. Not as in who are you connected to, as in like, is there anyone you've been trying to meet that you felt like, or is there any type of person or any network that you're trying to get into? I might not know them, but who are you trying to connect with at this stage of your career? Who would you love to be connected with in this room, right? I love to ask that question if I'm in a room, 40 people networking, like if I'm talking with someone. So Pete, there's a lot of people here. Who here would you love to meet? Oh, I'd love to meet Sally over there. Oh, do you know Sally? No, I don't. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go, hi Sally, how are you? I'm trying to meet some people around here. And I know you probably are too. It's like, how'd you hear about this event? Oh, that's how you heard about it? Oh, well, why did you come? Oh, you came. What do you do? Okay. Hey, tell you what, I know someone who wants to meet you too. Can I make an introduction? Sure. Hey, Sally, meet Pete. And now you got what I'm talking about.
This has been so powerful when you've shared this on our morning show, and I just want to share it with everyone here. A lot of people are showing up here going, okay, like it's been a hard 14 months and, struggling with self-doubt, struggling all the things. And some people have goals that they're trying to figure out with their career and all the other stuff. Yeah. But then there's also a thing called feelings goals.
Yes.
Feelings goals, right? So many of you guys, this is going to be new for a lot of people. This is newer for me in my own life, frankly, right? Because, all my years of working as a Denny's waitress, trying to all the jobs and then all the years of rejection with my business, when I finally got, when we were finally getting momentum, I didn't feel the day. I just drove as hard as I could. And one of the things Brendon has shared so much about, and I would love for you to share with everyone live right now, is you can have goals in your fitness journey and in your career and all these things, but what about goals for your feelings, for how you feel and how you feel the day? Can you share?
Yes.
This is so powerful.
I remember the first time I said this to her, feel the day, and she's like, oh, right. And we had this huge, great talk about it, because what happens is sometimes you're taking care of the kids, you're going through your life, you're doing the projects, you have the to-do lists, and you're just going, and you finish the day, you didn't even feel the day. There's no reverence for life. There's no love. There's no heart. There's no spirit, no flow, no connection, no creative pop. And it's not because it wasn't there. It was just, you just like blew through the day. You bullied the hours, I call it. And there was no moment of a pit stop to give prayer or meditation or gratitude or a second to go like, how am I feeling? And, am I experiencing the energy that I want to experience in life? And that's, again, we generate that, but feeling the day. I found the most successful people in the world, I remember we drew this out. I went to Jamie's house almost 2 years ago, I think now.
Yeah.
And we were talking about successful people, and there's drawing this little triangle, and what everybody wants after they've gotten everything. After you hit your goals, you made the money you feel like your family needs, what you want is you want to feel the day more. You want greater depth in your relationships, like deeper relationships, deeper commitment, deeper meaning, right? We all want those things. And then we also want to know that we're leaving some kind of legacy or contribution, what I call meaningful pursuits. And I think feeling the day should be in your top 1 or 2 priorities every day. The whole mindfulness movement is really architected to, I want to feel the day. I want to feel presence, right? I want to feel the energy. I want to feel the spirit. I want a self-awareness or consciousness. It's a different feeling of the day versus just like powering through or caffeinating through it all and just blunting it out. We want you to have those sensations of beauty and honor and respect and depth every day. We want you to feel joy and reverence every day. She knows I probably say reverence every morning show because I'm so happy. Who feels so happy to be alive? I'm so happy to be alive. I'm so happy to be with this woman. I'm so happy with this team and with you all guys. It's amazing. It's a gift.
Yeah, I love that so much. And even Ed Milet was sharing a little bit about that idea of, setting goals also for feeling the day. And then also like what are feelings we want in our life? And I think you just named a big one too, which is presence. I think that it's been so easy, especially the last 14 months, to like disconnect and just try to numb out and try to surf Instagram or watch the news or all the things, right? And so many people are saying that's really taken a toll on them, that they feel their own light dimming when they do that. And, I started the morning off by talking about how that light is still inside of you, that light in every single one of us, right? A lot of people nodding. It's still inside of you right now. And I think part of igniting it is learning to feel the day, right? So what are just a few just simple tips people can do who are like, Brendon, how do I feel the day?
I feel nothing. Part of it, to recognize your overall emotional feeling every day is usually a 72-hour after effect of how you moved, breathed, slept, and ate in the last 72 hours. It really is like, it's a cumulative effect, especially of the last 72 hours have a lot to do with your emotional world. So that's why having good habits on a consistent basis, like you might, listen, if you want to have a cheat day, that's okay, but that's why they call it a cheat day. You eat bad for one day, but then like number 2 and number 3, if you get back on the train, you start feeling good again, right? So it's okay to have one day off, but I think the most important thing for feeling the day is you need to have pit stops throughout the day. You need to have moments that you purposely take every day throughout the day to reconnect with spirit, soul, energy, or even just to breathe, mom. Like just to take a beat, close your eyes. Like I'll stand. I do this every hour, okay? I'll stand up. Sorry for the camera guys. I'll stand every hour. I stand up. You've been asking me to demonstrate.
Yes, demonstrate.
I will stand up. I will close my eyes because a lot of your fatigue is visual fatigue. And that visual fatigue is causing a lot of neurological fatigue. So closing your eyes, especially because we're all these devices, close your eyes. I stand, I bounce in place, I swing my arms, I take 10 deep breaths like this. 10 deep breaths like that every hour. And it re-energizes my body and my brain, and it's a little pit stop. And now my mental focus is back. When I open my eyes, I go, what's my intention for this next hour? And that little pit stop makes me go longer, just like a race car. It can go around the whole race, but it doesn't. It takes the pit stops to tune it up so it can go longer and faster and win the race. You need a little more pit stops to tune your mind up, amp up your emotions, reconnect with the heart or the spirit or the soul. And if you are just grinding all day, there's no pit stops. That's the equation for burnout.
Yeah, well, so many people feeling burnt out, right? People that aren't leaving their home but because of the pandemic, but just so burnt out and so overwhelmed. And one thing you shared that I want to make sure everyone caught is the idea of visual fatigue, because that was a huge aha moment that I had with you on the morning show just in the past few weeks. I thought, you guys, we implemented this at It Cosmetics. We grew to over 1,000 employees, and we would start ending meetings like 5 minutes before the hour, instead of just back-to-back-to-back meetings, right? Because the idea that you can get up and just walk around and move your body. But one of the things you brought up is I learned I was doing them wrong because I was like walking and moving, but still engaged. I would take meetings in the hallway walking, or I would check my email on that 5-minute break, right? And can you just quickly share the idea that when you do take a pit stop, when you do take that 5 minutes, right? And this is hard for a lot of people, but the idea is when you take that 5 minutes, the other 55, right? Or you take the 10 minutes, the other 50 are so much more alive.
Yes.
They're so much more alive. So people that say, oh, I can't afford to do that. No. you're so much more alive in those other 50. But I was doing it wrong because I wasn't actually resting my mind. And you talk about the power of like visual fatigue. If you take a break and you're scrolling Instagram or emails, that's not a break.
That's exhaustion, right? Scrolling is just exhausting your brain even more and more and more and more. It's engaging it, but it's exhausting it more and more and more. And so it's like this. You cannot possibly hope that burnout will end if you don't more consistently recharge. But we grew up on a century-old model that, we'll get to recharge when we retire. We'll get to recharge, 2 weeks out of the year when we have vacation. It's why people are miserable, because the burnout is real because they don't recharge. That one day I'll recharge, the spa day, or a year from now. No. The world's largest study of productivity that's ever been done found out the most productive people in the world who also reported high levels of happiness, they took a break on average every 52 minutes. Largest study ever done. Every 52 minutes they took a break. Did they need the break? No, they're recharging. If you're crashing at 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day, it's time to take a hint. You need to recharge at like 10:30, 11:30, or 1:30 to prevent the crash that happens 2 or 3. The crashes happen because the recharges are not happening. And so the burnout will always be there. And I always say, make sure you don't blame the burnout on anybody. Please don't blame your burnout on your kids. That's not fair to them. Don't blame your burnout on the team. Blame the burnout on either ambition that is unmet with planning or just not taking care of and prioritizing your self-care or your well-being. Take care of you so you have the energy to serve at your highest levels. I think that is something we can all align with.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.